A new year approaches, and this is about the time of year that everyone reflects back and looks at what they did in the past 365 days. So I'm going to look back at the key accomplishments for Metroscapes in the year 2024. Let's go. Hey, it's Trev, and welcome to another Metroscapes year in review. I've been doing this since the end of 2018, but last year was the first time that I made it in video format. So here we are again. And that's probably a good place to start. The biggest thing about 2024 is it was my debut on YouTube. I've come a long way in a year, going from just talking to a camera with images inserted to complex videos littered with maps, historic images, field footage, music, and sound effects. I bought some equipment such as a GoPro, strap holder, power cable, power bank, memory card, as well as this studio mic. It takes some time to get to this level, especially when you're not doing it as a full-time gig. And I got used to taking all of that and publishing it here on YouTube. There's a bunch of stuff out there about how to maximize your reach on YouTube, things that will trigger the algorithm and send you to the top. Things like what time to publish your YouTube videos down to putting your face on the thumbnail. And I could always spend more time refining my work and promoting it on social media. But as I've said many times before, this is just a hobby for me. I have a full-time job and I have a family to support and spend time with. And that's always going to take priority. Despite that, I was able to publish 6 videos this year. A key one was an intro to what I do and tell the story of how Metroscapes began. If you're watching this right now without any context, I highly recommend you go watch that. That helps provide a lot of context on my story and about what this whole thing is. The rest were walk videos, 5 of which used GoPro footage that I captured during my walk. Another video covered a walk from a couple years ago, and I just used the pictures I had taken along the way. That's how I had documented Metroscapes for the previous 8 years, and so I have an opportunity to do more of that in the future. Another video was covering a walk I did in late 2023 about the Scarborough RT. I actually didn't have a GoPro of my own yet, and I had borrowed one from a friend to test this whole concept of making YouTube videos. I again had alluded to this in my 2023 year in review, but in 2024 I finished that video up and documented a rapid transit line in Toronto that has been shut down and is supposed to be partially converted into a dedicated busway. Now, I've uploaded a bunch more videos and they're unlisted. They're just the 1 or 2 minute clips from the middle of my walks. Something that I started doing towards the end of my Twitter days. I've gotten back into doing that now. These are all embedded on my walk pages, so you can go see them there if you want. That's a good segue into talking about what walks I did this year. Now, I should preface this with the fact that 2024 marked a major expansion in my coverage area. I had 4 regions that I covered at the end of last year. Toronto, where this all started, the Tri-Cities, so Kitchener, Waterloo, and Cambridge, as well as the cities of Hamilton and Guelph. In my 2023 year in review, I announced that I was expanding into the West Greater Toronto area, the West GTA. After thinking about it after that video, I decided to skip the whole phased approach, and I just expanded to the whole GTA and Niagara. So 2024 marked my first foray into those areas. I did 11 walks this year. That's the same as 2023, but I covered 23% more distance, going 313 kilometers total, or 28.5 kilometers on average per walk. I broke that record last year and I've done it again in 2024. I also completed my longest walk in a single day ever, going 38 kilometers over the span of 8.5 hours. 5 of these walks were along the Lake Ontario shoreline. I went all the way from the Burlington-Hamilton border to Mississauga's Lakefront Promenade Park over the span of 3 days. I then leapfrogged a couple industrial sites in southeast Mississauga to redo a walk along Etobicoke's shoreline in Toronto. And then I went to the South Shore and I walked along the water's edge in St. Catharines. I did 3 walks in Hamilton this year. One was along Highway 403 and the Lincoln-Alexander Expressway, or LINC. Another one was an electrical transmission corridor descending down the escarpment and into the industrial harbor area. And one was actually a combination of a hydro corridor and a rail trail through the Dundas Valley. One walk was along a utility corridor in Mississauga, which is actually a mishmash of electrical transmission, pipelines, a highway, and a busway. 2 of the walks were riverine walks. One was along 12 Mile Creek in St. Catharines, and the other traced Etobicoke Creek from south of Dundas Street all the way to Mayfield West, which is north of Brampton. This was the record-breaking 38-kilometer walk. All of this walking pushed me to an all-time total of more than 2,800 kilometers across 6 regions over 9 years. Looking at projects in some of my website analysis, a big component of this was the Niagara and the West GTA. I took my first walks in these regions, and so all of the projects came with that. So I completed and published some analysis for the watersheds, the shorelines, the railways, and the utility corridors in these regions. I had a couple blog posts this year. One was a brief overview of Line 3. As I had mentioned earlier in the video, Line 3 is a rapid transit line in Toronto that is shut down because of an accident that happened. It's currently in the midst of, number 1, being replaced by an extension of an existing subway line, and number 2, while that work is being finished, it's going to be converted into a busway. So I made a little blog post to talk a bit about that and the uses of that corridor. Other than that, I just reposted some information about my intro video, as well as my announcement to ditch the phased approach and expand to the whole Greater Golden Horseshoe. So that was a lot for 2024. Some of the things I'm hoping to do in 2025 are more walks in the north and east Greater Toronto area, so York and Durham regions. I'm also working on a video right now that's a little different. It's more of a special feature than a walk. I actually reached out to 2 parties who were involved in transforming the shoreline in the Lakeview community in Mississauga. So these are currently construction sites, so it's not for public access right now. But I asked if I could join them and have a tour behind the fence to show you how the Metroscapes in those areas are changing. So look forward to that in 2025, and I hope it's the start of other feature videos like that, where the public isn't allowed to access, or there might not even be that much public awareness about. I think on top of, as always, doing more walks, I want to start selling some merch. Now, some YouTubers out there will tell you to subscribe to their Patreon or to buy them a coffee as a way to subsidize their costs. I am a type of person that I have a really hard time asking for that. If I'm going to ask for something, I want to give something in return. So the way I want to do that is merchandise. Pretty straightforward these days. There's a lot of services out there to help you design and make your own merch. So stay tuned for that, and I hope you can support me by buying a t-shirt, a sweatshirt, or whatever I end up offering. And that's about it for 2024. We'll see what 2025 brings. Until next time, Trev signing off for Metroscapes. And remember, friends, not all those who wander are lost. Take care.